Hello, John, and welcome to part two of our conversation on education.
Thank you.
Can you give us an insight into education in Ireland in the past and the situation as you see it now?
Well, in the past, going back to when Catholics had some chance of getting an education, minute seminary for the education of priests and the ordination of Catholic priests was permitted by the British government, which were the government ruling Ireland up to the 1916 and later. Now, minute seminary was established in 1795 by laws passed in the British government called the Catholic Relief Act between 1787 and 93, which gave effect to this establishment of minute. Prior to the dissolution, prior to the anti-Catholic dissolution of monasteries and the anti-Catholic agenda started by Henry VIII in the 1500s and continued thereafter by Elizabeth I and so on. Before that, Catholic priests were educated primarily in Oxford and Cambridge. There was no seminary in Ireland. After the anti-Catholic policies of the British government, with Henry VIII in charge, this mother of parliaments that we're often hear a lot about, but it wasn't so good at that time. So Irish priests had to be educated. As a matter of fact, up to 480 at any time were educated abroad, primarily in countries abroad, and funny enough, in France. In France, it was in Paris mostly. 87% of Catholic priests were educated in France. Now, Salamanca in Spain, Madrid, another part, if I just don't mind for a second, Paris was 1578, Salamanca in Spain was 1592. There was 12 universities abroad that they were educated in. Salamanca was 1592. Lisbon in Portugal was 1590 to 1834. Valladolid in Spain 1594. Santiago del Compostela, which is a famous church, Catholic pilgrimage site in Spain, where thousands yearly walk this St. James's Walk, which can last for weeks. Some walk the whole distance, 500 kilometers, to this campus, Santiago del Compostela. Now, Seville, Madrid was in 1629 and 1612 respectively. And then there was another part in Spain. So this is where they were educated. Britain will become at war with Spain, and not with Spain, with France. But also because of the influence of the Catholic countries where the Irish were educated, they were afraid that they might be the partakers and instrumental in sowing sedition, and by the British meaning sedition, what really would be the Catholic priests recognising the cruelty that was inflicted upon them by the British during the penal times, and lack of education for Catholics, except in head schools, etc. So the word sedition applies to their view of it, whereas they were practicing worse in this country of Ireland, and perhaps in other countries wherever they were. Now, with regard to minute, so they passed laws so as to permit the education of potential priests, and allowed some schools. So the priests and the nuns, the Catholic priests and nuns, played an important role in education in Ireland. What is the position right now? Well, very few priests, Christian brothers, presentation sisters and others are now teaching in the school system in Ireland. Up to the 1960s, priests, Christian brothers, presentation brothers, marist brothers, and then nuns, presentation sisters, Ursuline sisters, Sisters of Mercy, Loretta sisters and others were providing the education for the secondary school education and sometimes the primary. So if it wasn't for them, we wouldn't have the educated people that we have in the country today. So no thanks has been given to them for what the marvellous work they've done, except to be attacked morning, noon and night by the media, especially the state broadcaster.
So do you think they have a role, that they still have a role to play in Irish schools, and what do you think could be done to give them a role or make them more active? Or that maybe as active as the past?
Well, you see, there's a sore need now at the present time, because from what one can see at the attendance at churches, for example, at the Catholic churches, 90% of people claim to be Catholic, but it's not represented as it was heretofore with the attendance in churches. If they're being taught, as we're told by the people, the Baptism Barrier Brigade, if we're told that Catholic schools are teaching teaching the ethos of the Catholic religion, when we see the non-attendance at Catholic churches by young people, we know that they're not getting the Catholic ethos in any meaningful sense. There's a role for priests there, but are they encouraged to go to these schools? Are sufficient teachers being taught and required to implement policy of informing Catholic children of the Catholic faith and traditions? I have my grave doubts because of the lack of attendance at Catholic churches now by young people who seem to have abandoned the practice of their Catholic faith to their detriment and the development of their spiritual nature, because how can you develop a spiritual nature if you don't attend church?
What do you think has actually replaced the church for a young person?
Well, I think the pursuit of pleasure and material items to the detriment of that important spiritual element. I mean, I just mentioned just one little article here that is in a magazine. By the way, young people will not get any formation from the mass media, the state broadcaster or the national media. Catholic newspapers like the Irish Catholic and a fortnightly, which comes out weekly, and a fortnightly paper called Catholic Voice, with an excellent paper, comes out once a fortnight, and then other papers that are widely read here that have editorial and news referring to Britain and Ireland, and given the wider picture of what's happening to persecuted Catholics and Christians and other denominations, particularly in Muslim countries, etc. I think, and I'm quite sure, that young Irish students, both at primary and secondary, and maybe even and possibly at university, are not being acquainted with the marvellous treasury of their Catholic faith. And it would be very regrettable that they would not see to develop their spiritual side of their nature, which is perhaps more important than any other aspect of their overall humanity.
You're going to read out something there first. Can you just tell me the name of the actual booklet?
Well, it's called Magnificat. That's another excellent booklet. By the way, I just mentioned the papers. Just Magnificat. It comes out once a month, and it's available in this country.
In the newsagents, or is it?
In the newsagents, no. But yes, no, not so much in newsagents. In Catholic bookshops, parish bookshops in the major towns. For example, in Navan, in Mullingar, and in Veritas, I would think, which is a Catholic newsagents. So it's very fair to say that I'll read this article, but how can you develop your spirituality as a young person reading the popular press? You won't. You see nothing about it. You need to read the papers like the Catholic Times, which is printed in Britain and refers to Ireland and Britain, the Universe, the Catholic Herald, and another magazine, an excellent one called the Tablet magazine, which comes out weekly, which is next to that magazine, and you get the background that you need to sort of hear and read, to read, so as you're informed, because you would not be informed what's going on in the world, because it's censored as far as I can see.
Can you read out what you were going to read out there?
Certainly. And it's written by a lady called Mary Beth Newcomer, and I think she's in America. And her headline is, "She pondered these things in her heart." Now, as a 13-year-old, she lived in the suburbs in America, in Connecticut.
Connecticut, is it?
Connecticut, yes.
Yeah.
So at 13 years of age, her father's brother and wife lived in Puerto Rico. So it was the first experience of an extended Catholic family, intentionally and generously sharing their lives together. Although I was a needy, self-absorbed teenager, they welcomed me right into their communion of love without reservation or judgment. I could not articulate what was happening at the time, but I know now that when they gazed at me, I experienced the gaze of Christ. I remember feeling embraced to the core of my being, and most of all, I remember a new awareness that I wanted to live within that love for the rest of my life. Now, there's other parts of this, but that is the main part. Now, that was a young 13-year-old that has stayed with her all her life. It's the kind, we all have gone through life and have gone down wrong roads and made mistakes because we're human. But some of us were lucky that we did hear this come across the sort of direction that we should be taking, even though we strayed. But you have to hear it and read it. Young people, I would urge the young people and the people responsible for their welfare and education to ponder these matters and give them the best chance in life that they deserve.
Thanks very much, John.
Thank you.